of space and getting a sense of what kind of space is available in the mornings before I start my day. I sit on the edge of the bed and I get a sense of what kind of space I might have available. And then I settle and open into that space and gain a clearer sense of core afterward, rather than doing it the other way around, as I had been for quite a while. And that seems to fast track more of a connection to available present core here and now. Not always with a radiance, but there's more of a clearer line there when I start with space this week.
Yeah, I think if we start using the word core, I could throw in other words there, start with whatever character you think you are in the morning. We're already infringing on space. We already set up limitations. Thus, they slow down or kill the possibility of space even. So to have more space, and then as you're finishing, now core or character, okay? Because the better the space, the better core, the better character, whatever word you want to use right there, better beingness, better function or whatever. So yeah, good catch, good catch. Is Susan on?
I think it's on.
Huh? Yeah.
She is on, Sensei.
Susan, can you hear me? If she's behind a mountain, we'll lose her, but we'll try. Susan.
Here she comes.
Yes, Sensei.
We're talking a little bit about last week about space, and you mentioned to me in our talk that you're getting obvious result from the people, the patients that you deal with. Did you want to say something about my sense of it, if I remember, was you having a sense of being in more space, seeing them in more space, and their dialogue to you has been noticeably different, better, or something. Are you following me?
Yes.
Tell the people what we're talking about here.
Okay. Noticeable in that more people are opening up to about more of their history, history that's pertinent to, the situation or the problem, but things that they haven't related before. And they'll even talk about, well, I hadn't thought of this before, but it seems important.
Whenever is it like?
Who's coming in there?
Sorry, Sensei, I got it now.
Okay. Did you all follow what she was saying? That with this sense of more space, she's getting feedback from her client in that they're laying out more to her, more than she's ever noticed before, more than it's ever happened before. It's so strong or happening so often. She goes, "Wow, something's happening here." Did you all follow that little conversation? Yeah. So, for example, let's say she's not a therapist, but let's say somebody's into therapy, for example, and they're digging on you to find out what your problem is, okay? And if they have a slant, you may be in trouble because they dig at you a certain way. And do you remember when you were 4 years old and daddy molested you or something, and they're on a kick, okay? Forget what I just said. And if they caught the trick of openness, they're more open, being present, and they're seeing, for lack of words, their client in a more open sense. That then the client will gush the important things, will say the important things, will say the deep things that they've been maybe holding back or not wanting to kick out. It'll be sort of boom, there. So potentially the therapist won't have to dig and rip it out of them. They'll gush it out. Is that, are you following? There's a different, and then whatever other possibilities and being more open and viewing, not quite the right word, people in a more open set. Okay. Blah, blah. Susan, did you want to add anything to that? Was that it? Communications up in the with the hill people is strange. Susan, you okay with that?
Oh, there we go. Yes, yes, Sensei. And exactly what you were saying, where, I wasn't looking for information or digging for it. It just came out.
They offered it. They presented it. Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes they were surprised and would say, "Oh, I hadn't thought to tell you that before."
Yeah. I remember a couple of, for me, humorous ones. I think, let's see, pre-Japan, but I'm into meditation a bit, stuff like that. And I'm working a high school dance or something. There was an old guy working the cloakroom. And we got talking. And he started to tell me about his son who had died and appeared to him very clearly, glowing, happy, Dad, I love you kind of thing. And then he said, I never tell anybody this. I don't understand why I'm telling you this, but because I'm already into some sense of awareness stuff, it was amusing to me. So kind of a similar thing. I was more open, and in my being more open facilitated his being more open to tell me this very personal story that he doesn't tell other people. Does that fit in here? Yeah. Another one, when I came back from Japan, I'm getting my first haircut in California, and the barber starts talking spiritual things. And he goes on, and he can't stop himself. He tries, if he can't. And he says, I don't know why I'm talking so much about this. I never talk to my clients about this kind of thing. And I'm sitting there kind of laughing to myself because I'm, into this stuff of spiritual things. And he just can't stop himself from talking about it, kind of thing. So there was another one. Tonight we're just using the word, or last week we were using the word just being open. So in my natural state, I was more open. And he felt free to express those things. So that's what we're talking about so far. Are we okay so far? Are you finished, Susan?
Yes, that's safe.
That cover it?
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Somebody from last week talked about more space. And we're trying in the more space to see if the self that's there could make itself known somehow or t'other. Okay. See, in a tight space, we're so Bobby and Robert, whatever your names are. Okay, so 1 by 2 by. It's kind of thick. And there's a self there, but it's kind of enshrouded. Okay, so hard for it to make itself known at first, to hear its voice at first. So as you get more room, we're hoping that would facilitate the self showing itself, expressing itself, kind of letting you know. I don't mean know, somehow manifesting its presence in some form or t'other. Anybody on that? Self from last week? Because I know you've been sitting with this all week. I would just want to hear what you were sitting with. That was kind of a dig, by the way, but I'll be nice. Anybody along those lines? Steve.
Justin, I'll jump in again.
Justin, hey, Justin again.
Connecting with space, I want to pick up on something else I've noticed that you mentioned last week, that the different brains layout that you mentioned, a thinking brain, feeling brain, feeling, sensing. with a sense of more space, it seems much easier to settle quickly past the thinking and feeling brains and get into a zone where self can reveal itself when I'm not, occupying my space with other
spun in tighter, thicker. Yeah. What was your sense of self? You mentioned it. What's your earlier?
Well, for me,
stage.
There's a radiant of some degree, core available, without an agenda per se. When I'm working with within a character, they have feelings and thoughts and agendas, so to speak, but the self doesn't quite have feelings like that or an agenda per se. It's just available, present, radiant.
Yeah. Okay. And with a little practice, you can tell the difference between, help me out here, between the aliveness of a physical body. You do your exercise and your body's more alive and you're humming a little bit better. That's nice. Good. But that's not self because your body is humming a little bit after a good tennis game. That's nice. Yes. But we're talking about the hum, make up a word, of self. You called it glow, radiation. It has its own has its own.
I like radiance, or you've said aliveness. It's a persistent vitality that's not like charged per se, like the characters would have their juice. It's more even flow, steady, not worked up so much, so to say.
I believe you use the word vitality. I believe right here, OSensei loves the word vitality, inferring this self at a very good level. There's some vitality, vital force, he calls it. So he likes the word vital also in this terrain of self, much finer than body character thing.
Yeah, Bob mentioned something last week, like the self-generating power. It generates the power of itself from itself.
Yeah.
So to speak. So I like that.
Yeah. In dialoguing with selves, I find some aren't aware of their, what should we call it, their aliveness. They're hovering around itself, but they're sort of not aware that in, what the hell are the words? Sometimes the words get strange, people are difficult. In pulsing with itself, it comes more alive itself. Okay. All right. Now you'll have to find out in your case what kind of quote pulsation seems to work the self in becoming a finer self. What form might work for you? Okay, but I usually suggest at this stage of the game to the selves I'm dealing with some kind of a beat. Okay, all right. Is Tom on tonight?
No, Sensei.
Okay, because he brought up, I think last week, something about breathing. It's like, yeah, but we have to be careful because the person character, Bobby breathes, Nadeau breathes, Sensei breathes, whatever. Yeah, maybe he was on target, but I wanted to make sure. So I said, let's not for there. Let's make sure it's self's, what word, pulsation, self's re-energization of itself. Okay. Just so we don't get confused. See, everything overlays, so it's easy to get kind of confused. Okay. It's not like something's way over there and something else is way over there. It's like everything overlays. Okay. So there's a Bobby here and an idea about things, and then easy. There's a self in here also, but see, they're overlaid. So self, you mean me who feels myself? Is that the self we're talking about? Like, no, but I can see the confusions. If you're in this heavy state, and we're talking about something here, the heavy state may be hard pressed to sense the inner, finer level of things. And so it's easy to get confused. Sometimes you might think I'm on you a bit too much about the wording of things. I just don't want to facilitate more confusion. Okay. Or we can throw out a fancy word, the original God, radiating love. Oh, yes, I like the idea. I've got it. It's like, no, you ain't got it. You got this idea, but it's not here in the original where it's actually happening here. That's a potential for all of us. Okay. Get to the source of, OSensei might say. The source is here, but we've got a lot of confusions between Bobby and that level of here. So I'm sort of, again, throwing out fancy words to the folks who, in their heavy levels, say, oh, yeah, I understand the word. I got it. I'm sorry, you ain't got shit. I'm sorry, you ain't got shit, except a nice idea. Okay, that's why experience, what are you experiencing, is very important. Just the idea awareness, tricky, it'll spin you off. Anyway, enough on that.
Sensei, I remember when you first, at least in my recollection, this distinction began to show up. People would come to you after an Aikido class and talk about how well they felt and how good the class was and everything. And what you picked up on and mentioned it to us at the time was they're talking about the kind of thing you get from the good tennis game or whatever you were talking about. And Aikido should produce something more than that, which we didn't call it the self then, but that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, or at least something inner, finer.
Right.
Yeah. Because I recognize, because being an athlete, so to speak, I recognize the words they were using as being exercise words, but I was hoping for inner wording of things. And all I was hearing was these jock words, physical words. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, better than nothing. But this is Aikido. If you just want to be a jock, run around the block, it's probably better for you. No one bends your wrists. Yeah, thank you for reminding me about that. I kind of remember that very clearly. It really struck me. I think we missed something here, kind of thing. Okay, anything before we move on to tonight's subject? We okay so far? Okay, we've used the word easy before, we've touched on it before, but I thought it was quite a while back. And of course, you've been developing along the way. I thought to try that word again. Okay, easy. Now let's see, as best as you can. Easy. Okay, now let me think about the word easy. What does that mean? Okay, don't go there. So what should I say here? Easy as a feeling, easy eventually as a sensing of easy. Okay. Now, as we easy, there might be something experienced in that easiness. And because there's something experienced, to be, let me think about that. Let me solidify that. Let me package that. And it's like, no, let's not go there. You might take a quick momentary note, but let's continue with easy. Okay. Sort of the sense there are multi dimensions of easy or levels of easy. Okay. It's not just one word once. It's a sort of a continuation. I can't think of a better way of saying it. So everybody, easy, easy. 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 I wonder. Let me screw you over here a moment. Even in those first very early stages of easy, you probably noted some, I don't know, physical changes. Yeah. You give me a couple of fast ones, just fast and quick. What changes did you notice, let's say, in the body or
Breathing
your
slowed.
attitude?
Breathing slowed.
Okay, easy, breathing slowed. Okay, now there, when the breathing slows, oh, breathing is slowing. Oh, yeah, breathing. Da 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 da. Okay, so this is pretty typical. I'd like you all to be kind of well versed in. There's an experience, and then there's this, I don't even know what to call it, an unnatural, natural bing to an idea, mental about it. That seems so common that I call it unnatural, natural. Okay. All right. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to hang out here and package breathing. Okay. So noted, quickly, bing, enough. And
Sensei, I felt
Yep.
my feet softening.
Like who's softening?
My feet
Okay.
kind of softened into the surface I'm standing on.
Yeah, okay, softening. Oh, wow, melting. Let's see. Is there anything written spiritually about melting? You see, don't go there. It's a quick notice. And continue. Easy. Am I saying this right? Okay. I think it's a very important trick of the trade because I think people have an experience and then they stop the continuing experience, which is critical, damn important, the way to go, and they start formulating things. Okay. So it'd be nice if you were well versed in that, what we call it, trick. And let's continue. Easy. 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 One more. Easy, easy. Let me jump in again, sorry. Are you noticing any of the other words we use? For example, clearing or letting go, or a little more space there. Did anyone have those words or sense jump in as they were just easy?
I have a settling, opening, settle and open.
Settle. Okay, so yeah, settle. There might be. Well, we'll pick that up at the end of the session. Anybody? Anything else there? Any? Gee, being easy is like being settled. Being easy is like letting go. Anybody else with any catch there?
Sensei, there's a spaciousness about the body itself.
Okay, so spaciousness
Yes.
or space. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to double up on it, like spacious and body is in the spacious. I didn't want to double up on it, could I say? That's fine. I'm just happy with, oh, more space. Don't know if I said that well.
Sensei, and I don't know if this goes in the direction you're headed, but one of the first things that drops away is the mental activity about, today's whatever's happening. That's the first thing that I let go of, and that leads to these other feelings.
Yeah, no, if you're starting here, fine. It's a starting place. Okay. And as you start, easy, it should click, 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 or hopefully it will click, click, click. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's your first clue that you're on the right track, because it didn't get busier thinking about easy. What is easy? What's easy in Japanese? And going round and round on it. You moved out of that area. Okay, tells you you're on the right track. That's all. Doesn't say you're perfect yet, but you're on track. Let's stay on track. And let's continue. Easy. 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 Okay. Yeah, stop. Sort of don't want to, but I think some important points. When you stop and chit chat and mull on stuff like we're doing right now, and you go back to easy, I don't try to necessarily start where I finished. I start wherever easy is, at the level it's at. Okay. And if it's at a lesser level than I finished, that's okay. I just continue easy. And then within a couple or so, oh, I'm at that same level of easy that I was when I finished the last series. And I continue easy. Okay. So I think some people can screw things up by hitting a good level, but the baby falls out of the crib or whatever. You got to get up and do something. And then you get back to sitting. You can't necessarily hit it right at that first moment where you left it. And that's okay. Don't get pissed at the baby falling out of the crib or whatever. Just hit it again. And it's there. And because you've been there just a short time ago, it should be fairly easy to get back there soon. But don't panic or add extra air in there. Just take it as it comes. Is that okay what I said? Did you clear? Okay. All right. In my case, my easy is getting an extra little softness there, and I wanted to mull on that for a bit. It got like quieter, softer, easy. Almost where it's hard to say easy. It's easier to say easy. I'm also whispering, for example, of that. Easy. the word easiness is also trying to play in here. Share easy, easiness, easiness. And instead of trying to figure it out right now, it'll be something I file away. And when I'm sitting out there in my important porch chair, I might play with it. Any difference or any improvement, instead of easy after a bit, it's easiness. Does anything change there per se, whatever? And I fine tune it. I don't have to do it now. I'd like to move along with just a basic easy, easy, easy. Gonna have to jump in. If your attention is still focusing and feeling the body to see if it's being affected by the easy, you might be hanging on too tight. So what am I saying? Should be a certain level of sensing easy as opposed to feeling. So we had feelings before. You all probably noticed on the first couple of easies when we started, the body adjusted somehow or other. You could feel things, the breathing change, the settling change, a different vibration rate with the feet and the floor, sort of a melting into kind of thing. Yeah, but as you continue, don't keep your eyes focused on the body level, because we move into finer and you won't be able to, I don't know the words, experience the finer of it if you're focusing on the heavier, okay? If you focus heavily on Bobby, you're going to be hard pressed to be a Robert kind of pattern. Okay. So easy with an innate sense that this is a finer vibrational dimension of easy, easy, easy. Okay, let's take a pause on that series. Anything going on, I don't know, might confuse you or scare you, or to be able to hang out here and continue anything I may have missed? Easy. You want to jump in on that? In your easy, is there anything occurring that might become an obstruction or scare you or confuse you, or anything happening in your easy?
Sensei Bob here.
Hey, Bob.
I went through a dark space, which I was comfortable enough with the dark after all these years that it didn't scare me, but I could see if I wasn't familiar with what the dark indicated that it could. I could say, wait a minute, I don't want to go here. Kind of like the doctor in his first experience of the dark in the book. So that didn't happen, but I can readily see how it could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see how to paraphrase that. Let me try this. You run into dark and you don't know what dark is. So Bob is right there. You could get, wow, what's going on? It's all getting dark. Easy with the dark. So my first approach on dark was there's something going on, but I can't see it or be aware of it. And more importantly now, experience it. So I have to be easy through the dark. I'll get to a certain level where it sort of lights up again, and I'll be at a different level. And then I'll be aware, experiencing that level and who I am at that level. Like if we're using characters, who's the character at this level? Okay, we have to come around on dark sometime soon. Again, it's a big time piece. I would like to make sure you have a good sense of it. Okay. Anybody else? Anything you bumped into that may block you out, scare you away, or whatever? Nothing? Okay, I'll tell you mine. Reached a point there where, how to say it? There's a moment there, a short period of time in there where, for lack of a word, I was losing myself. Okay. Was I disappearing or something? And I don't know if anyone wants to really disappear, okay? But I bumped into that. Now that something like that might scare people away. No, wait, I got to be somebody, because if I'm nobody disappearing, that's scary for a lot of people. Okay. So what should we do with something like that? One thing is we could say, okay, I'm reaching something really totally new. I want to get a little clearer on things. So at this level of easy, there are energy still movements, whatever. Now I really not focus on them, but let them sort of come into play. At this level, energies are mixing up me, character. Who am I at this level? And I'd be experiencing myself, then I'd naturally be more aware of myself and my viewpoint of things, my philosophy, if you would. Okay, so if you're getting a little leery about getting lost, you can sort of call it there and establish at that level the character you at that level and the experience, important, of the character you at that level. And that might facilitate then later being able to move on even more, finer, continuing. Is that almost clear? Yeah.
Sensei, you had given me similar advice once about squaring away, getting a sense of the lay of the land at a certain level before moving on, so we don't jump too far ahead, or jump in, maybe just dip our toe in it and get a sense of flex for a moment there, but get lay of the land is how you described it.
And be the citizen of that land.
Indeed, exactly, yes.
Okay. And then you can move along any time, but to hang out there and experience yourself at that level, and then be prepared to let that go and continue to move on using whatever form of moving on you're using. Tonight's case, we're using easy. Yeah. Yeah, that it, Justin. Yeah. Anybody? How are we doing here? Easy. Is Roy on? Roy?
He's here tonight. Yes, Sensei.
Roy?
Yeah, here I am, Sensei.
how are you doing with easy?
Well, what I noticed was that any kind of attachments that that I had loosened, so that it was really kind of moving into like the spatial realm of the experience, rather than I'm still this guy or that guy, or I've got this thing going on, or I see this in the room, or the whole attachment to all that seemed to be.
Okay. And he just brought up what I tried to bring up, maybe not saying it great, but in his easy was letting go.
Mhm.
And that's what I asked you about earlier. I said, as we're just doing easy, are any other things happening that you sort of recognize? Gee, that's kind of like more space. Gee, that's kind of like letting go. Gee, that's kind of like clearing. Gee, that's kind of like going deeper through the dark is that's going.
Mhm.
So we could say probably all these are very similar. Okay.
Mhm.
And they head in the same direction, meaning inner finer potentiality. And I think we've said before, find one that you like, that's comfortable for you. Okay. And advice OSensei gave me, I'll pass on to you, was try some of the others, because sometimes one thing is good, but you get a certain, maybe a slant that's a little too heavy on it. Try some of the others. You get a little different angle on it. Let's say is a magic sound for you. Well, then someplace try an O. Oh, or hey, just to see if there's a little different angle slant. Okay. So anyway, that's what I was going when I asked that question about, is this seem familiar like anything else? And Roy just threw it out. Oh, this is like letting go. Thank you, Roy. Steve.
Yes, sir.
And you, sir? Easy. Where are you getting to? What's happening here? Easy.
Well, what you just said, it just open, become clear. One of the things I was noticing along the way is there's this notator, this one that experiences, and then there's a mental note, and okay, and let it go. But those notes tend to show up, from time to time.
Yeah. You're talking about this one when you have an experience, is how I'm presenting it, and then suddenly you're getting involved with, oh yeah, and then oh yeah, that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's quickly noticing that, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Let it go like the breeze.
Yeah.
But yeah, it becomes clear. It becomes more open, settled. One of the things that you mentioned before when you were talking to Susan, and your experience at the barbershop, I noticed that when I do clear and open, say in an encounter with another person, there is a tendency to want to have an agenda, to fix that person or feedback that person. And when I find that I easy, let go, open, it gives them the space to get what they need. You used to do a thing long time ago where you would have partners and we would clear, and the partner could reach in and take what they needed, because you're clear.
Window game.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
And then I built the whole thing around it. You got a girlfriend, and she leaves you, and you're like, you don't leave me, or why'd she leave me? And you're distraught. And I see poor guys sometimes distraught for up to a year. I thought, this is sad. This is dumb. What's going on here? that in associating with another person, you're sort of borrowing qualities from them because they have, I don't know, more obvious or whatever, and you borrow them. Okay. Now, if they leave before you've taken enough from them, the window's been slammed shut, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're saying, ah. Or you've taken 10 pounds, whatever, she's taken from you 10 pounds, you're both sort of happy, and you both agree it's time to move on. Okay. All right, no problem. Nice knowing you. Stay in touch if you can. Thank you. Bye. Kind of thing. Okay. But often one has not gotten a full fill from them. This sounds like a vampire or something here. Okay. My example, classic. Have I ever mentioned this on TV? On Zoom? Young lady left, and it's like the next day I was buying flowers. I don't buy flowers, not then. Okay. And I filled the house with flowers till one of my roommate, student, whatever, consigliere at the time, I guess, said to me, "Why are you filling the house with flowers?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I am doing that, aren't I?" Well, this lady who had left was very colorful. That's what I said. So when she'd left, I needed to replicate her color, her youthful aliveness color. I filled the house with flowers. Okay. All right. Then I began to work on this a bit and said to folks, look at whatever quality you were borrowing from them, you liked it, that's why you're hanging out with them, whatever, and needed them, but deep inside yourself, I would say now, you have that color yourself. If you sit and open, it's there for you because you have something that's similar to that. You yourself. Okay. Did I say that right? Did you catch that? Yeah. All right. And in doing that, the pain of them leaving was shortened. Oh, there'd be moments where it'd come back, but it would be the same thing. Okay, whoop, I'm starting to, about her. Easy. Da, da, da. And you could pick it up real fast. But the type of guys that would be for a year, for God's sakes. I called them pasty white because they would look kind of white. Because whatever they're taking in it left, and they get pasty. So that's how I used to call those guys, the pasty white guys. Learn that you have it within your own. That's why you are attracted to them. Okay. And you have your version of it within yourself. Okay. And if you're not soaking yours up, you'll start to miss them again. And there's your clue. You're not absorbing that's within you. It's time now. How do you know? You're starting to do that bullshit. Okay. So some people think I'm not into emotionality. I'm into the truth where that came from. I'm not into stuff. I'm sorry. You guys can go do that. I'm not going to do that. You do that. Oh, but it means I care. It means you're boxed in and you're an idiot. I'm sorry. We better move along in topics here. Where the hell are we? Where are we?
Sensei, this is Lauren. I'd like to ask a question if I could.
Yes, sir.
We've spent this evening easier and easier. And, as always, you've emphasized the benefits of easing into it and then several cycles to deepen the experience. When you often use easy as part of a phrase, easy the eye. And what is the I in this case? What would you say?
Identity. I'm Bobby, and here's my problems, and here's my bitch. I said, Bobby, easy, Bobby. You're hanging on to Bobbiness. But this is my reality. Easy. And hopefully he's doing what we're doing. Easy. That there's a little more space there. That there's a little settling going on in there. That there's a letting go of Bobby's. That there's a type of letting go, yeah? So easy the eye is basically what we're doing now. Easy. I just started it maybe heavier with easy the eye. Take that component and play with easy. Okay. Tonight we didn't start with easy the eye. I was hoping that we're a little more advanced and we could just start with you're out of that level, you're in this level or this level, and now let's easy. Well, basically the same thing, I think. I think I said it right.
Thank you, Sensei. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know, see the sense of ongoingness, people should kind of know it's ongoing for quite a while, okay? So when you easy the eye, that, and you get to the next level, there's a little more room. And there's still an I, its name may change. Oh, this is me or something, whatever. There, I feel better because I'm not bitching about what Bobby was bitching about. That doesn't sort of exist here. Oh, good, I've arrived. This is samadhi or some nonsense. No, you moved a click. Good for you, good. Tells you you're on lineage. You learned a lot of tricks of the trade if you're alert. I don't know if that's a good word. Now let's continue as soon as possible. Let's continue. Why stop now? Let's continue. Okay, so there's a bit of a journey here. What we call process sometimes. A lot of words we could use. Okay, follow the pattern, follow the process, train, inner training. So at any level you get to, and it's neat, whatever neat is for you at that stage. TG, you were telling me a lot of your meditators seem to stop short when they reach the calmness, peacefulness. You want to jump in here?
Yeah.
Where we're going?
Well,
Stop there.
It's a natural place to stop because it seems like that's the goal.
Yeah.
It starts like, well, I'm anxious, I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm confused. And if I hit a level in meditation, it's a good thing to arrive at calm. And you then, but what you may think is, well, that's it. That's what meditation is about. And you stop there.
Yeah.
And it's just like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
It's opening you, just as you've said, with easy, you're talking about the opening and settling, and easy is the way to drop into that field, that dimension of greater perhaps insight that is directly related to experience.
Yeah.
So it's important to arrive at calm.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. But when they stop and say, I've arrived.
Yeah.
That's where, sorry, teacher, we have to get a little bitchy on them somehow. We got to move them along.
It depends if I'm on my in my Zen context or in my Vipassana context. So Zen is a little more rigorous, and I'm pushing them off the cushion, not literally, but with Vipassana, it's just an encouragement to go deeper.
Or to explain to them that this is quite likely going to happen. They might not reach calmness, they may reach peacefulness, they may reach easiness, but it's sort of all the same, real close in there.
Sure.
But they're going to reach something like that if they're doing a proper earlier meditation form.
Yeah.
And just to give them a heads up before this.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's very good. Hang out there for a bit, enjoy the hell out of it.
I love what you're saying, Sensei, but the thing is about explaining things. We do that in Dharma talks and so on. It's great. And it really kind of just goes over the top of your head until you have the experience. You have to have the experience of that actual moving deeper, or a kind of saturation. You've soaked in calmness.
What if you have a class,
a
little more advanced people, a little bit, and you expect they can all get to a calm, quiet, whatever word place. And when they do, they just raise their index finger to say, okay, I'm in that zone. And when you see a lot of fingers, you say, okay, now we're going to proceed.
Yeah.
And you continue through that. You teach them the tricks of the trade of continuing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not bad. I've used that with teenagers that I've taught, So actually the finger.
Well, they give you the finger. Wow.
It's a good thing, the correct finger, but yes. Yeah, that can work, when you're working with meditation, to have an indicator, especially if you're working with a teacher or a guide.
Yeah.
You wait for that moment, and that's a good skill. Actually, that's a useful one. Yeah.
And some people probably it's a variety of levels, could I say, of self. And some people hit a certain level, like calm, peaceful, whatever, quiet, whatever. And that's great guns to them. And if you say, now I can teach you how to move on past this to the even more finer, they won't want to go. And in some form tell you, leave me alone. I'm happy here. I call that level of comfortableness in the old days. They reach their level of comfortableness and say, ready for next? And they go, no, get out of here. I'm fine. And that's the human condition.
Well,
that all along the way, as you go finer and finer and finer, more developed, people are dropping off.
If you spent your whole life in anxiety and you finally get a taste of some calm, yes, don't bug me. I'm
fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. And then you can encourage that, but there's a certain self-motivation. I think there's a certain feel the calling. You have to feel the calling to go beyond.
Yeah. And some people don't have more of a calling because their self, I don't know how to word it, their self is not as developed. So even in a certain way, I don't know, they're grammar school selves, others are high school selves, others are college selves. Okay.
Yeah, it's good to recognize levels of development. Yeah, that's right. For sure. Anybody that's been a teacher, especially of kids, and you see the levels of development. It's very easy to track. It's a little more difficult to recognize emotional and mental maturity in adults. If you will.
It's kind of common that many of you are Aikido. You might teach a class, but you advertise it as a sort of advanced class, meaning you want to work at that level plus. You don't want a white belt or or somebody. Okay. So this is not unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's common, in fact.
Yeah.
It's not unusual at all.
I think we're presenting it to you so that you, with the sense that you've been hanging out with me here for a couple of years or more, probably have a better sense of the continuation of self. So just be careful of certain things that naturally happen that could even slow you down or stop you. By knowing how they, I want to say lesser people, I don't mean that, how they stop and why they stop could help you who don't really want to stop, recognize it and continue. Yeah, we sort of don't know how to say it any better, but close enough for
Actually,
right now.
That's a good way of saying it. It's an easy way to say, to recognize without judgment. We've been there. If you haven't been there, you may be there. It might be your future. So it's a good way to be in relationship around transformational things. When you're recognizing dimensionality, you're recognizing the process and the great value of one of the many great values of your teaching is that you have laid out both what we call travel vehicles and the process, and understanding dimensionality, understanding easy the eye is not just a fancy saying that, okay, I've got easy the eye, now what else? But we're always visiting and revisiting this as a deepening and continuing development, really.
Again, I'm sort of a mapper, one of my main things. And so I like to map out the steps, map out the process, hoping that people can utilize to get something out of that their journey can be a bit easier. Remember, a lot of these things, they weren't taught to me. I was a self-learner. Where I jumped into meditation. I took a few lessons from, a couple of sessions of whatever, from a fellow, because I knew I needed some basics. So I learned how to sit there for an hour on my legs, or however we were sitting in those days, and get through that, and then ... But my development was me and me. I didn't have really a clear road sign. I didn't have a guru teaching me along the way. Not really. But you have within you the ability of moving along. I'm just trying to facilitate it a bit, give you a general sense of things. Where you can follow that track. Now I want to stipulate here, follow that track, but also be ready to use your own words. Okay. So again, we were doing easy and Roy said, oh, letting go. And somebody else said, oh, more room. Find the sense of it that is more comfortable for you. And the character that gets mixed along the way at different levels is you. You can't mix up a Nadeau. I can't mix up OSensei. Okay. He warned me about that a couple of times, I got to do me and you got to do you. But I follow a certain, I don't know what to call it, track. All right. And then my quality in there, or qualities, my character in there, that's a Nadeau line. Did I say anything intelligent with all of that? Yeah. Okay. So Let's talk about easy. Again, it'd be nice if you did some homework. Easy is nice because it's what? It's settling, it's relaxing, it's whatever. So I expect you to spend a little time next week. In fact, do we have a next week off? Wow, you've got 2 weeks to play. I expect you to play a little bit. Okay? Anything on easy?
Yeah, Sensei, I'd like to jump in and elaborate a bit more on this element of your process as you've mapped it out, that the evidence we get through our experience is very reliable, consistent, sustainable, easy today will be similar tomorrow and the next day. You know, it's a very consistent experience that we move ourselves through, and that's, as a reference point, reassuring, I would say predictable in a way, but we know what to expect as we continue on to finer and finer.
Yeah.
So it helps us to be consistent.
Yeah.
And I like that. So thank you.
See, something in there we should bring out. San Jose on tonight? Not Jack, the other San Jose.
Who are you looking for, Sensei?
Andrew?
There he is. Andrew.
I'm here.
A little bit related. I thought last week, was it, you said, if I remember, something like, okay, we're in a 3x3 kind of thing. And you brought up a question problem right there. You remember?
Not really.
And I said to you, well, look at 1 to 2 has been good. 2 to 3 has been good. Why do you think the next is not going to be good or better?
Now I remember. Yes.
Okay. One possibility there is in not clearing the starting place. Yeah. Let's say your starting head is negative and critical, let's say. Okay, fine, no problem. You got to start someplace. I start as an asshole sometimes because that's what I am. I could have been somebody, but anyway, different movie. But you can't retain that one and move into 2x, 3x, 4x, because that one is carrying his negative
Baggage?
I use 2 words. Critiquer. No matter what beautiful thing happens, that one's there saying, no. Okay, that one has to be cleared as best as you can from the get-go. You can't carry him into this work. He'll destroy it. I had my experience with that. I can't remember now. I was in a nice meditative space. And suddenly there was a negator going on, bitching and moaning about it. I thought, what the hell is that? I'm in this nice space. I recognize the space. Well, it's all that's negative. And I had to really go back on that and see what the hell happened. And I hadn't cleared maybe that first easy the eye, easy the bitchy Bobby, easy the worrier. Not the warrior, the worrier. Okay, easy, really, honestly, easy. So I can continue properly. Because if I try to carry that one into this, it can't happen. You're carrying like a cancer into a beautiful system. But you don't have to carry the cancer. You can take a couple extra moments up front and clear the cancer, easy the eye, in whatever form you want to do that. So I think that should give you a better sense of what to do. My idea of what maybe you should do. You play with it and see if that does anything for you. Okay, something else there, but good enough. Okay. So next week off, huh? For those of you who contributed to the book and haven't heard anything, it's still being worked on. And in somehow or other, they will notify you eventually, not to panic, all's well, moving along. It apparently will get published. I haven't decided quite how, what, but it's going to happen. But give it time. These things take time. So those of you who are saying, I haven't been notified, it's okay. You'll be notified eventually. It's all right. Anything on easy? Easy.
It's Mark here, Sensei.
Sounds like a New Zealander. Which New Zealander is that?
Mark
Mark.
Fitzwater.
Mark. It's Mark. Go for it, Mark. There he is.
I really like the word easy, because it's a nice word that kind of feels safe, and in a way, every time I easy, my experience gets deeper. Whereas if I was sort of either letting go or even was kind of trying to experience something, easy is just like chill out and see what happens.
Yeah. And could I say again right there, easy is a better word for him. For somebody else, letting go may be easier. But I think I wanted you to see the similarities of the many words that we use. Choose yours and do now and then try some of the others just to get a different flavor. Go ahead, you weren't finished.
Yeah, so I've lost track now. But yeah, just the fact that that word easy just helps to deepen the experience. I actually start to experience rather than try to experience. I guess sometimes there's this idea, I'll go experience, but that doesn't work. I've got to just easy. And from there, something starts to happen.
Yeah, the next grouping of you, if there's enough space, anytime you can say, okay, enough. And what's the grouping? And the grouping, center circle energies mixing up a character you experience, you'll be aware, but experience first, good trick. So where am I going? All of these potentially are the same in that easy. And if you want to leave as somebody, at the end, you can't go any further with easy, your time is running out, whatever. And you say, okay, here, and then you naturally let it all configure into the character you at that level. Then you can get up and go 10 sheep or whatever it is you do. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of important there because you don't want to have do all this work, have a good sitting, whatever, and finish and go back to Bobby kind of thing. You really want to stand and move around and go take care of the sheep as this level character we need the practice. Okay. If I've been Bobby for a long time, need a little practice in Robert. Being Robert and moving as Robert and thinking as Robert and lifting as Robert, socializing as Robert. Okay, a little practice time there with yourself as yourself at that level. That's cool, yeah. People were approaching the end here. So again, next week off. It would be nice if you were to spend a little time on your own. These things should be pleasant for you, especially something like this, easy, or whatever. Okay. again, in a certain size space. Now we not focus, but okay, now we're changing our focus, changing our attention, changing something to, okay, now the energies in this space mixing up, and there are qualities there. Energies, finer or qualities. They mix up the character you. Now, inside, underneath that is self. See, so again, they all overlay. So the space, all this activity, the character that gets mixed, the self is underlying that. It's there. Okay, so the better the space, better the character, the more balanced the character, better way of saying it, the better the self can show that it's there. Okay. Was that almost clear enough? It's a basic, I have to come back around and make sure we really have that overlay sense. But again, why OSensei said, don't go anywhere, it's here. But you have to understand the inner, finer, dimensional, and the overlay factor in doing that. Yeah, huh? Finishing up. Anybody, anything?
Yeah, and it's Sensei, as you and Mark were talking about, keeping it sustainable. It's not enough to access that state of being and then go do something and it's all
Walk away from them
again. You know, I see this with a lot of yoga people. They're in class, and at the end of class, they're very peaceful, and then they get into traffic, and it all goes out the window. Like, what are they doing for 90 minutes? And it doesn't seem to be sustainable. So
a lot of it also is the awareness of nice stuff. But the awareness is, it's easy to push over. Okay. I used to be famous as being a balloon popper, their awareness being a balloon. Wouldn't take much to pop it. But if they're having the experience at that level equal to their awareness, now, not forever, but they're like a strong tree in a heavy wind. They can sustain for quite a while. It's being experienced. And not even just physical body. I did that, but it's here. There's a body here, a presence here. Yeah, and if you don't catch that, then you're going to end up like he's trying to say about the people that, I'm so nice and caring, and then boom, they're in the traffic. That's it. That's the end of it. Something was missed. Tija, you brought up the same thing with people that you deal with.
Indeed, I did.
I think told me a cute one where they get into the peaceful quiet, and then they get irked when some noise is going on. Stop making that noise! You're disturbing my quiet.
And you pointed out right from the beginning that when you're doing good meditation, there's nothing that can really disturb your meditation because everything is part of your meditation. The dishes crash in the sink because the cat jumped up there and you have that moment. So what? Then you just come back to what is happening in that moment. And I think that's a skillful means. That's a skillful way of engaging with the practice of the open settle with easy. You know, it's not easy on the conditions that everything is perfectly quiet and still, right? It's an important piece.
People, running out of time. Thank you for hanging out. Enjoy next weekend. And I'll see you the weekend after. Okay, take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, everyone. Be
Thank
safe.
Thank you,
Bob.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei. Good night, all.
Good night, all.
Lauren,
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering, since Bob mentioned the book,
Yep.
is there still time to send in pictures, or is that too late?
No, pictures you can send them to me.
And
You can use that submissions address.
I don't recall where it is. Do you?
Why don't you just send them to me at LAURIN LAURIN.HERR@gmail.com.
Okay, yeah, I may have some that I have to probably scan them or use an app, but I have some pictures with Bob and that might be fun to send, and you use them or not.
Well, that'd be great. Do you know roughly from when?
Oh, I would say it could be 10 years ago. One of them with it's one with me and my wife and Bob and Katja.
Uh-huh.
I think I have a picture of Bob with his new Jaguar. I don't know.
Okay. Well, sure. Send them along to me. That'd be great.
Yeah, you take them or not. It's just
Okay. We'll add them to the collection.
Okay. Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Okay. Take care.